Good morning, everyone. This is Griffin from Profit Audio, and it's time for another episode of our free sound software spotlight. Each week, I take a look at a piece of free or budget audio software that generally holds its weight against the paid alternatives. This week, I'm taking a look at a piece of software called Pro Tools First. Pro Tools First is the light version of Avid's ubiquitous Pro Tools audio software, which you can find in pretty much any recording studio or post-production facility around the globe. If you're looking to enter into the audio industry in pretty much any capacity, then having a solid grasp of Pro Tools is really valuable knowledge to have. And Pro Tools First is a great opportunity for anyone with a computer to gain that knowledge. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, so once you have Pro Tools First set up and installed, this is what you're presented with. So all the stuff at the top is fairly stock standard, just basic things like editing modes and playback. What we're mainly going to be focusing on is the edit window here, which we need to populate with some audio. So I'm going to import some audio. So I've just imported some audio here. It's the sound of me kicking some piles of dirt, which we're going to manipulate and play with using Pro Tools. So one of the benefits of Pro Tools compared to many other DAWs is the fairly advanced audio editing system, which is perfect for editing things like sound effects and music. So to demonstrate that, I'm going to take these raw recordings, clean them up and process them a little bit and see what we can get out of them using just Pro Tools. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to scan through and find all of the good hits and separate them out from the rest of the track. Okay, so now that's out of the way, let's take one of these hits and refine them a little bit further. I'm going to choose this one, because I happen to like the sound of it a bit more. What we can do is we can get really granular with it. What I'm going to do is zoom right in and bring this in until just before the sample actually kicks in. And then I'm just going to fade it in really gently. It's good practice when you're working with Foley and sound effects to add a quick little fade at the start and end of each sample, just to make sure each sample starts and ends cleanly. There's no run over ambience or anything like that. It really helps to tighten up the sound and clean it up for when you want to use it in a production. So I'm also going to add a really long fade off here so that we can get all that lovely crackling near the end. It's still fairly quiet and still fairly raw, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to compress it. So the effects in Pro Tools, things like fades and filters and things like that, are what we would call non-destructive, which means I can apply them and take them off at will. I don't need to bake them into the waveform, which is a fairly stock standard feature of many DAWs, but you don't really find it generally in free software. So it's good that Pro Tools provides that for us here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some compression using Pro Tools' built-in compressor. So this is really starting to come into its own. What I'm going to do from here is I'm going to apply a quick EQ to get rid of some of the boomy bass frequencies. Okay, so we have a really good effects change. So now what we're going to do is edit the rest of these hits, clean them up a little bit, add fades, and then we'll have a pretty professional sounding collection of dirt impact hits that we got with just a few minutes of processing. So there you have it. So Pro Tools' First editing capacities are fairly simple, but still quite powerful compared to a lot of other DAWs. And using them, we were able to take some raw Foley sounds and process them into something a bit more usable. And this technique can be applied to pretty much any audio, things like voiceovers, sci-fi sound effects, music editing, that sort of thing. However, the thing is, apart from its fantastic audio editing capabilities, there's not a lot that Pro Tools First really has to offer compared to a lot of other DAWs. However, as I said before, its biggest draw, its biggest reason to learn how to use it is that everybody uses it. So if you're looking to enter into the post-production field in the future, it's a really good mental investment to make. And I would highly recommend that you download it and get acquainted with it, learn all the shortcuts. The best way to learn something is by doing it, and because it's free software, there's no barrier of entry for that. So I completely recommend downloading this software and giving it a try yourself if you want. That's going to be all from me today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. There'll be a link to Pro Tools First in the description. Please feel free to like and subscribe. It would really help the channel out. Also, if you know anyone else who's interested in audio post-production, feel free to share this channel with them. Again, it'd really help us out. Once again, I'm Griffin from Profit Audio, and I hope you have a nice day.